All right, so I'm up in the far corner of the property. This is by the furthest garden from our house, the far garden, the one with the pumpkins and stuff in it. The newest garden that we just built last year, in fact. And this is my compost pile. But the basis of this pile, all of this dirt, actually is just broken down brush. When I cleared this property initially, it was just covered in trees. The trees were only a few feet apart. In fact, it was so covered in trees, kind of like the neighbor's place here. Just a fire hazard waiting to happen. And there was no place to even turn a vehicle around. You couldn't even ride a bicycle across this property. So I cut down a bunch of trees, properly thinned it, got the spots where the buildings were going to go cleared. And with all of that wood, we cut down the logs, trimmed them all up, got all the branches and stuff off of them. And then we cut up all the logs. And then all those branches, all that brush went in a big pile. But then I basically forgot about that pile for years and years and years and just kind of left it. And over time, it broke down. It broke down to where all the pine needles and all the stuff on the bottom had kind of just turned into dirt. And this last summer, we went ahead and got rid of that big brush pile and took all the wood that hadn't broken down yet to the landfill in their section where the trees and stuff go. And what was left was this. And this dirt right here, as I mentioned, is made up of just trees that broke down. So it's mostly what's called brown manure. Not manure like comes out of animals, but that's what it's known as, is brown manure. And then you need a good mix of brown manure and green manure, like leaves and grass and stuff like that. Even pine needles are considered green. And you need a good mix of the brown and the green to come up with a good quality compost. And what I have most of here is brown. It's 85% brown. And so what I've been doing is I just put these branches and this stuff around here just to keep erosion from happening. And then I kind of dipped in the top of it, and we just put all of our kitchen scraps and leftovers from the garden and things we're not using in the garden, that all goes here. And so what I want to do is I want to go to Newcastle, which is 30 miles away, get a load of compost shoveled into a trailer. And then when I get that back here, what I'm going to do is just park the trailer right by this compost pile. And every time it gets about like this, I'm going to go ahead and cover it up with about, 4 or 5 inches of compost. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll put garden waste on top of it, and then 4 or 5 inches of compost, and then garden waste, and then 4 or 5 inches of compost. And I'm just going to do it that way. So next year, when we go to start using some of this compost, it'll actually be high quality stuff. And then what I'll do at that time is I'll take my backhoe and I'll go ahead and mix it all up again. So we've got the brown mixed with all the green, and then we'll go ahead and use it that way. It'll be a much higher quality compost, like I said, with the brown, then all the green garden waste, and then already finished compost shoveled on top of that, and then rinse and repeat. And then I'll mix the whole thing up this next spring, and then we'll be able to use it in the garden next year as pretty high quality compost. Good morning. I do have my work cut out for me. Very odd. I was pretty impressed. I'm going to do what I always do on these trucks. And that just happens to be my thing, by the way. This paint job's probably 5-6 years old. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. And here he is leaving. It wasn't quite as fun as I was expecting. And that starts right about now. And that's precisely why I threw this utility trailer, this is my smallest utility trailer, on the back of the Toyota and came 30 miles east here to Newcastle, the town where I was born. And this is their compost facility, and it's free. It's where people come and drop off all their yard clippings and all their branches and all their stuff. As you can see, they drop all that off there, and then they process it all there, and then they turn it into compost over time, and then they let it age back in there. And once it's all aged up and ready to go, they move it right here to the finished compost. And then you can also get wood chips or mulch. And I don't need any mulch. What I do need though is some finished compost, because again, that pile of compost that I have at the house isn't what I would call finished compost. And so what I want to do is continue to add vegetables and fruit and all the scraps and leftovers and yard clippings and everything we pull out of the garden and everything else we're going to go ahead and add to the top of that pile over the course of the year. But I also need to be adding some quality compost to that pile as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my shovel. I got a couple different shovels here, and I'm going to go ahead and get a bunch of this compost in this trailer. I'm gonna fill this trailer up with compost, and then I'm just going to park the trailer next to my compost pile at home. And as we continually add more garden leftovers, garden clippings, you know, food waste from the house, as we add more stuff to the top, we'll get a layer on top of it. And then I'll go ahead and add a layer of this compost out of my trailer on top of that. And then we'll put more food waste and garden clippings and things like that on top of it. And then we'll put more of the compost on top of it. So it's gonna be kind of like a lasagna effect. So I get, by next year when we need it, we'll have some really high quality compost. All right, it's been maybe 20 minutes. Got this trailer full. Got this storm rolling in on me. I can start to hear thunder. Should be here in 5-10 minutes. By then I'll have this tarp pulled over the top and strapped down, just to keep from losing a third of my load from just from the highway. And because a lot of times it just likes to, you know, blow around. And so I'll go ahead and get this tarp pulled over it, get it strapped down, get my stuff loaded up, get out of here before it starts raining on me. All right, well, here I am back at the place, and got my trailer load of compost. Got it backed up here to the compost pile, and I'm gonna go ahead and this is where this trailer's just gonna sit. I have a couple utility trailers, so this one can just afford to sit here for a while. And I'll get the tarp off of it and all that stuff, and as time goes by, we'll just be shoveling out of here and putting it on there until the trailer's eventually empty, and then we'll have a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 tons at least of quality compost on the property. Well, and now we're in the far garden, and we're going to pick a few things out here. We've got maybe a cantaloupe or 2 ready to go. Got some of this corn we went ahead and shucked, so you can see what it's looking like this year. Not too bad. Hi, Buzzy. It's looking like this cantaloupe might be ready to go. This one right here, different breed, isn't quite yet. Got another watermelon coming on. Don't know if we have enough year left for it to finish out. Have another couple melons just about ready. Some of our winter squash and pumpkins doing really well. About ready to come off there. And here's another couple of them. Doesn't look too bad. Looks all filled out. And here's another couple. We're starting to get some corn built up here. Here's a good sized zucchini. Not too big for us though. Stayed skinny enough that we're not going to have too many seeds in it. We'll go ahead and take this one. And I went ahead and grabbed this guy. The end has a little bit of give like they're supposed to. This end smells heavily of melon. Smells awesome. We'll go ahead and get this guy inside. And so some of you more casual type gardeners might be wondering, what exactly do you do with all of that squash and all that zucchini and all those tomatoes? Because by the time the year's done and we've harvested everything, because again, these aren't determinate plants. These are plants that produce throughout the summer. So by the time we're done, we've had wheelbarrows full of each one that we've brought in and set aside. And I'll show you exactly what we do with a bunch of these tomatoes. Here's where some of it goes. We've got tomato sauce. We've got more tomato sauce. And more tomato sauce and more tomato sauce. We've got cacciatore simmer, which is excellent. More tomato sauce. Cherry tomato salsa. We end up with a bunch of this every year, and we go through it all too. There's a mixer that I painted up for Jen here years ago. Here's a recipe box that I made for Jen from scratch. This is all made out of fiberglass, all molded, all made out of fiberglass to look like an old cook stove. There's a video on this if you're interested. And then this is even made of fiberglass. Even this part is made of fiberglass. This is the handle. Look at all those recipes. And that sits there year round. This is, I don't know, 3-4 years old at least. And here in storage, we've got things like a peach bourbon sauce that was made earlier this year. And Kentucky Bar Fight jam. And these are a hot jam. They're made out of some of those berries that I showed you earlier. And there's a bunch of them. There's Redneck Bar Fight jam. And there's another thing beneath it. And here's tomato basil sauce. Here's more tomato basil sauce. And this is just the beginning. By the time we're done, the time Jen and Ash are done canning this year, they'll have, this whole shelf will be full at least. We've got marinated hot peppers. And the zucchini, it gets sliced up and then put on a tray and then frozen that way. That way, because if you slice up your zucchini and you put them all in a bag together, when you go to, and freeze it, when you go to get it out later, it's just one big solid frozen mass. So what Jen does is she actually slices them up or cubes them up or any of the above and puts it all on trays and then freezes the trays. And then once they're all individually frozen, then she puts them in bags. That way you can open a bag and just grab a handful of it if you want. And it's not all frozen together. And we have a freezer completely full, a big chest freezer completely full of zucchini and those type of plants that have been diced and sliced up and frozen separately and then bagged afterwards. Zucchini relish is another big one. It's better than any relish we've ever found in a store, and it tastes exactly like relish, if not better. You can't tell. Zucchini doesn't have a real distinct flavor anyway, but with zucchini relish, it tastes exactly like relish. And you can add whatever heat, whatever other spices you want. And we go through 50 jars a year of just zucchini relish. And here's what we do with a lot of those crab apples that we get. They get run through a food mill. They get thoroughly processed, with the seeds removed and that sort of thing. It excludes all of that. And then it turns it into applesauce, which can be used in recipes. You can of course just eat it. You can use as toppings. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it. It's a good way to store apples and most of their fiber for season after season. And this is our Flaming Fury peach, and if you've watched any of my garden videos, you've already seen it plenty of times. A good sized peach tree here in the backyard. And just earlier today, Jen noticed something we were not expecting. Look at that guy. One single, well, as far as we know, one single. We've looked it over. I don't think there's another one, but one single nice looking full-size peach. And here I thought we didn't have any peaches this year. Okay, now here's some of the superior variety of plums that we went ahead and harvested. We went out the other morning and noticed that literally all of them had fallen off the tree. We had some wind the night before and they must have been ready and they all just fell off on the ground. So we got them all picked up, and these are the best tasting ones on the property. And out here in the garden, this is, we just got done watering. That's why this is still dripping. This is our Mount Royal plums. And they are ripening up nicely. A lot of them have already ripened. And they only taste okay. But once they get fully ripe and get all their sugars in place and they're actually ready to eat and good and soft, they're actually pretty competitive, pretty good plums. And we're not the only ones that apparently think so, because yesterday when we came out, day before yesterday, all the branches look like this branch, at least look like that. Now as you look, this whole side, all the plums were gone yesterday. Every one of them. Something got in here. We're thinking maybe raccoon and took them because they're not on the ground. And then just this morning, I came out and looked, and 9 out of 10 are gone off of this side. This branch right here, and this branch right here, all the way out to the end, look like that, and look like this. And they're, I mean, again, 9 out of 10 of them are gone. This plum had this tree had hundreds of plums on it 2 days ago, and now it's got maybe 20. So we're going to set up a mobile ring cam. We have quite a few cameras on the property, and we're going to set up one right on this tree and see who's taking our plums. And there's not going to be really any action taken because we don't, we're not selling it. It's not a cash crop. We've got plenty of them. We've got another one behind the house that's in the cat area, the cat fence in area, which means that raccoons probably aren't going to get in there, and that one still has all of its plums. And so we're not overly concerned. We don't mind sharing with nature. That's not a big deal. This time of year, you got wasps that come in and they land on the mulberries and on the blackberries and they just suck them dry. You come up and you'll see these little berries and they're just little shriveled husks is all they are. That doesn't bother me. Everything out here's got to eke out a living, and it doesn't bother us to share. And here's that mulberry tree, and this is what I was talking about. The wasps just get in there and they just drink them dry. We've gotten a lot off of this tree this year. Doesn't bother us to share, but yeah, They just finished them off. And here's what I was going to show you. Here's our other Mount Royal plum. Look how loaded that is. The branches are just, I mean, I don't know, what's that, 30 plums on one little branch? And that branch is the same. That branch is the same. And that's the way that other bush looked just 48 hours ago. So yeah, something's getting in there and getting themselves a pretty good nighttime snack. And they're taking a chance with all the cats around here, but if they're a raccoon, they were not taking too much of a chance. And as for the green gauge plums, you can tell right here. Green, not at all ready. Yellow, starting to get soft. This guy here, almost ready, day or two away. These guys back here, just a day or so away. These guys up here, awfully yellow, and they're just a day or so away. This one here is ready. Decent size, excellent taste. We picked these today. They're all ready. As you can see, they get so yellow, some of them start to turn almost orange. And that's one way of knowing that they're ready. That's not super reliable. We've got some of them on this tree that are more yellow than some of them we picked, and they're still a little firm yet. So you have to feel them. When they get the right amount of softness, then they're ready, and they're really hard to beat taste-wise. And here's our Honeycrisp apple tree, and it is just days away from being ready. We plucked one here day before yesterday and ate it, and it's pretty darn good, but just needs a few more days. Like this time next week, they'll be 100% ready, and they'll probably be falling on the ground like this one here. Once that happens, I'm not waiting for them to fall on the ground, but I mean, once they start falling on the ground with frequency, and we'll of course pick one and taste it, and the taste is, you can tell when they're not quite ripe. They're just a hair firm, and they have just a slight kind of crabapple type taste to them. And so if you let them sit a little longer, then they'll, and nobody here minds the taste of crab apples, but they'll lose that taste and get the more of a store-bought apple taste to them when they're actually ready. Okay, so here it is, September 16th, and I tried one of these yesterday, and they are completely ready to go. Super juicy, very delicious. Arguably the best apples we've ever grown on this property. And this overloaded Honeycrisp tree is now ready to be harvested, and that's what we're going to do here today. A few different sizes here. This is a set of doubles. That's a decent one. That's about as big as they are on the tree. And this is about as small as they are. Well, there's what we ended up with for Honeycrisp apples. It's a decent sized cooler. We're just keeping them in there because we don't want to use up a bunch of buckets. It's going to be a couple days before we get to processing on these. We're going to be doing all sorts of canning with them. And so in the meantime, we'll just, have a lid on it. Not too bad though, considering that is a tiny little apple tree. And I think I'm going to have this guy right now. And another thing that we've got almost ready here against the 16th of September is rose hips. We're getting quite a few of them coming on, and they're starting to turn color. This bush produces more and more of them every single year. It's a pretty decent one. Ooh, a couple of them right there. So it's September 16th. We're in the middle garden now, getting ready to pick some of these dried beans. Some are more dried than others. Some are completely ready to go. As you can see, there's a bunch of them between the 2 or 3 trellises here that we have them. We'll also be getting in here and getting some more of these tomatoes. There's a bunch of them ready again. This has been a pretty good tomato year. And we have a whole slew of them already again. Nice little guys like this. Like this guy. Look at that weird looking guy. We get some of the strangest heirloom tomatoes. Alright, so here's how many dried beans we come up with this time. We're just going to put that stuff on top of the compost. Here's some of our cherry tomatoes and our regular tomatoes. And then we've got a bunch more cherry tomatoes coming in on the way. You can see here we're still harvesting a whole bunch of them. This whole bed is full of them. You see, even if they're starting to turn, we go ahead and pull them. And then here I got a bucket because we got a bunch of eggplant, a bunch of onions that are ready. And we'll go ahead and get that stuff loaded up. Finish harvesting some of these cherry tomatoes. Even if they've turned only this much, we're going to go ahead and get them. And get them out of here today. Hi, Bigby. Bigby's out here helping in the garden today. And this here is a piracava. It's like a Brazilian sprouting broccoli. It's a different kind of broccoli, but it's got a great taste, and it's very prolific, and it grows late into the year. And here's some of our onions that we've pulled up. A bunch of eggplant that we've pulled up. All of them turned out really nice. And here's some of our cherry tomatoes from today. All kinds of different tomatoes. Different sizes and shapes and breeds. Levels of ripeness. Here's some of our full-size ones. Here was that weird one I showed you a minute ago. Now here we are in the far part of the upper garden. September 16th. And look at that pepper. We'll be pulling some of these peppers here. We'll probably pull this little orange guy here. We've got some jalapenos that are ready. We prefer them red. And as you can see, there's some that are ready. We got some of these Hungarian wax peppers that are ready or real close to it. Look at those jalapenos. Got some more of these red guys down here are turning red. We usually leave these when they go like this. We leave them just so whatever insects are devouring can continue to devour them. They don't move on to better fruit. These guys, a couple of them are ready. You can see this plant's just loaded. For no bigger than it is, it's got 4 big peppers on it. These guys are turning. Got some red cherry peppers that are ready. We can pick them green. This one here is just about ready. But we typically wait till they're red. And here we've got a sweet banana pepper that's ready. Go ahead and get it out of there. Another sweet banana, not quite ready, but getting close. Quite a few of them actually, getting close. All right, gang, here's our, I don't know, 16-foot tall Flaming Fury peach tree. And as I mentioned, it made just 1 peach this year. Nice looking peach too, and it only made 1. And it would have gotten right by us if Jen hadn't noticed it. But today is the day, September 20th, and that is so late in the year for peaches around here. Normally, if our peach trees are gonna bloom, and they've only made peaches 1 year, but these are all fairly young trees too. But 2-3 years ago, they made peaches, and they haven't since, because of a cold snap, as I mentioned. But when they do, normally we are done eating them. They're completely done by the end of August. Here we are, September 20th, and this peach is finally ready. This guy right here. Nice looking peach, and it is finally ready. I'm gonna pull it off there. Come off nice and easy. I mean, that is a good looking peach. Just the one, but it's impressive. Okay, so here it is, September 23rd, and we're in the far garden, and we're taking some red curry squash. That's a winter squash that is arguably well, it's for sure my favorite. It's arguably one of the best. It stores well, tastes really good, goes in a million recipes. We've got a few of them out here that we're going to be getting today, but then also we're going to be getting a pumpkin or two as well. This is a Cinderella pumpkin. Go ahead and take it. And we've got a number of them. Some are ready, some aren't as ready. Here's an example of a red curry. If you're going to grow just one winter squash, that'd be the one I would want to grow. Here's another one. This is a pretty decent sized one, in fact. Once they get really, really dark orange to the point that they're red like that, that's when they're ready.
This is ready.
And here's another one. Another Cinderella pumpkin. As you can see, not too bad a size. We'll go ahead and take it. It's probably, 10, 15 pounds. It's got some heft to it. Not too bad a size one either. And this guy here is ready as well. This one's probably 10 pounds. So this guy's ready, and this is one of the biggest ones in the garden.
This one can go so.
Here's another probably 15 pounder. Here's a smaller one that's ready. Okay, well, we've got about what we're going to get out of this garden here today, and that's not too bad a haul. It's probably, close to 100 pounds right here between the curry squash, Tramontino squash, green zucchini, and the Cinderella pumpkins. And now we're headed to the center garden to go fetch some apples. Okay, here we are. It's September 23rd, well into the afternoon, and we're in the center garden. And this is our Empire apple tree, and it's ready. So we're going to go ahead and harvest all that this tree has. This tree's not as full as some of the other trees, but it has a few on it, so we might get a bucket out of it or something like that. Okay, come in here and we'll get some of these guys. These Empire apples, they're firm. When you go to bite into them, they have a very firm flesh. And I don't mean a thick skin or anything like that. The skin's normal. It's not thick or out of the ordinary really in any way. It doesn't even seem different than, a store apple. But the flesh underneath it is very firm and kind of a sour sweet, kind of a good combination of both, in fact. So that's what we've ended up with. I'd say about half of a bucket, between third and half of a bucket. Probably, at least 10 pounds. So that's respectable. This tree's not very old at all and barely as big as a Christmas tree. So can't expect too much. This has been a good year for it, really. And here is the wine crisp apple tree that we have. Here's what they look like. Some are bigger than others. This is a fairly medium to small one. But we walked up and found this one on the ground, so I'm going to go ahead and try it. And if it's ready, then we're going to go ahead and get the few apples that are on this tree as well. Again, very firm flesh. A lot of these apples I've noticed that we grow here have a lot more firm of flesh than the ones you can get from the store. Almost makes you think at first that they're not quite ready yet, but the taste tells me that they are. That, and when you just lift the apple, you barely lift it, it breaks free. And that means they're ready. So we're going to go ahead and take these Honeycrisp as well while we're out here.
So you can adjust that later. These are all canning apples though, so that's why they're firm. So So I can make a pie filling canned apples or whatever.
Yep. Now the Honeycrisp is more of a canning apple, so it's going to be firm anyway. And that's what we're going to use it for different sorts of canning needs, applesauce, just canned apples. These are going to be stored in one way or another. It's a nice looking wine crisp apple.
Don't touch that one, it's gonna wasp. Wait, no, that's just an ugly spot on it. Looks like
So here's our Empire apples. And here's our wine crisp apples. Probably a solid third of a bucket and closer to half a bucket here. Probably, oh, these are pretty heavy actually. 8-10 pounds. And, you know, about 10 or maybe a few more pounds. 10-12 pounds. And here as we were walking by the Asian pear tree, it was really windy yesterday. Pretty gusty all afternoon. And that's probably why a few of these apples hit the ground. But then we noticed that this Asian pear was on the ground. And these aren't supposed to be due until just before freeze. These are one of the last things, if not the last thing, we harvest out of the garden. They're really late in the year, but this one was already on the ground, so it gives me an opportunity to try it. Honestly, not bad. Sweeter than I thought it was going to be, and less firm than I thought it was going to be. This early in the year, I expected it to not even resemble a pear, and Asian pears barely resemble pears anyway. Some breeds of them resemble an apple more than a pear, but this is actually pretty good. So maybe this is going to go earlier this year than we thought it was going to. Well, okay, my gardening gang, it is Monday, October 6th, and this will be the final harvest. And the reason for that is because we have a freeze warning tonight. It's supposed to get down to 25 degrees in spots around here and in the low 30s in other spots, with frost warnings everywhere. So anything we leave out here is going to get ruined. So we're going to go ahead and harvest the Asian pear tree. We're going to be harvesting both of the Mount Royal plum trees. This is the one behind the house. As you can see, it's still plenty loaded. There are plums everywhere on this tree. Tons of them. And then the other Mount Royal that's over on the other side of the garden is going to get finished out today as well. Both of our Bartlett pear trees, they don't have a whole lot of pears on them. They're really young trees. But you can see this one's nowhere near ready. But you don't pick Bartlett pears when they're ripe. They don't ripen on the tree. You pick them just before that. There's a soft spot around the top. When you can compress it with your thumb at the top, that means they're ready. And then you go ahead and ripen them in a different location. So as you can see, this little tree's got, maybe somewhere 6, maybe as many as 10 pears on it. We're going to go ahead and get those today as well. We're going to be getting the rest of our peppers. All these guys. The rest of our tomatillos, all the rest of these peppers, the tomatoes, the ones that have started to blush, we're going to take it all. We have no choice. Anything we leave is going to get ruined after tonight. I'm going to start with some of these guys. Some nice peppers. We would have gladly waited for some of these to turn, but we don't have a choice at this point. I mean, it is October, you know. We should expect the nights to start getting cold, and in the forecast we have a couple nights coming up. They're supposed to be down to 31 in the near future. So either way this was going to happen. It's a nice pepper. Some of these plants are just loaded. You know, when you consider that we've gotten dozens and dozens of peppers off of them before this point, which is kind of the key to a lot of these peppers. The more you pick, the more that they put out. I mean, look at that. That's a quarter of a 5-gallon bucket just off of these couple plants right here. And we've got some peppers coming in here. All kinds of them. We'll even get this little guy. Even these little guys are gonna come along. These are supposed to be pimentos, so they're supposed to be left until they're completely red. They don't have to be, but I mean, that's if you want them at their best, that's what you do. We just, again, don't have a choice. We're just taking what we can. Another pimento. Then we'll get into some of these little hot peppers. Eggplant have gone too far. Some of them are just old and wrinkly. A lot of jalapenos that are just starting to turn. This plant's just loaded with them. Guys, this small, I don't know that we'll take, but there's a lot of them that are bigger than that we will. I mean, look how many more we're getting ready to come on. This fall was actually really productive, and I don't feel like we got shortchanged at all. But fall is also inevitable. Winter comes right after it every year, and it's just that time of year. But if we got another free month of this sort of weather, we'd be able to double our pepper production again. And here's half of a 3-gallon bucket of all kinds of peppers, all kinds of different sorts of peppers. Just off this little row here, just what's planted in these tires. Now here, at this point, I'm at this Mount Royal plum. This is the one that's not behind the house. The one that we think got robbed by raccoons or something earlier in the year. And one thing about this particular breed of plum is once they get too soft, once they get really soft, like the green gauge plum, for instance, when they get really soft, they get super sweet. The softer they get, the more sweet they get. They're not off-putting at all. You can eat them to the point where they're basically jelly in a sack. But these, once these start getting soft, they're slimy basically on the inside, and they lose their sweetness rapidly. So once they reach a certain point and they go past it, you're done with them. They might be okay in recipes or something maybe, but the texture and the taste is off on these once they get too far. So I'll be leaving a certain amount of these and only taking the ones that have the right amount of squishiness to them. I'll be testing each and every one. If they're good and firm, I'll be taking them. But if they're too soft, I won't. This one's just right. And I'll be eating quite a few along the way. I eat no less than 10 of these a day. These Mount Royal plums, they're super plentiful and super good. So I eat a bunch of them every day. I mean, that's 5 or 6 just off one little cluster. This tree is almost devoid of them. And yet it's still got 50 or more plums on it. Maybe even more than that. And the other one's got hundreds. And so here I am out behind the house. And here's what I got for Mount Royals off of that other bush. And keep in mind, we've been eating, I don't know how many, I've been eating between 5 and 10 a day off of each of these. And everybody else has been eating a bunch too. And this has been going on for weeks and weeks because these plums, as it turns out, aren't really determinate. They come on at different times. They all blush at the same time. right? They all turn this color at the same time, but entire branches will stay the same firmness, and that same entire branch they'll all turn at the same time and become ripe and perfect, while a branch right next to it is still firm and stays that way for weeks, which is great. That makes for great garden eating food. You can just walk by and grab one because they don't all get ready at the same time. Really good news for us from the way we do things. So I probably got 30 off of it. I left another 10 or 15 that were too soft. Plus, with the upcoming days, we are still going to have some nicer days. And then the wasps are going to be out doing their thing, and I wanted to leave some for them. But the softer ones are good for that. And I left, like I said, 10 or 15 at least on that tree. Took about 30. And that tree got rated twice hard this year, and we ate off of it a bunch. So that's a plentiful tree, especially for as small as it is. It's half the size of most Christmas trees. Same with this one. This is at its tallest point is 7 feet tall, but as you can see, the branches are just weighed down, and we have been eating off of these every single day for weeks. So yeah, if you want to eat a whole lot of plums and not sacrifice too much real estate to do it, Mount Royal. And when they turn ripe, they're really good. So we'll go ahead and we'll get some of these here. Most of these are still pretty darn firm. The wasps haven't really been back here much. The raccoons or nobody else has raided it. So, I mean, just off the very end of that branch, I got 5 or 6 here. And this branch here probably has another 10 on it. That one right there probably has 20 on it. This one probably has 15 or 20 on it. So yeah, and then there's all these other branches just weighed down with them. Look at this branch. I mean, there's probably 30 or maybe 40 on that branch alone. So yeah, we're gonna get a whole bunch off of these 2 trees. And if we left them all, for one thing, you can't leave them all for once, because like I said, they're not determinate. If you went to pluck them all at once, you're going to be plucking some that are way too firm and a few that are way too far over. So it's not the sort of tree you can do that with. If you're looking to get a harvest where you just go out one time and pluck your whole tree, I would suggest Superior Plum, that breed. They're delicious, and they come all at once. In fact, they'll all fall on the ground in the same night. So, but the Mount Royal, no. If you want to walk around your garden and have something great to eat every single day when you do for weeks and weeks at a time, Mount Royal's your plum. All these on this branch, almost all of them. You can tell the wasps have got to that one. They've got it, it's actually shrunken down. But the ones right next to it are just right. I have to squeeze each one before I pull them because you just don't know. But most of them on this branch are ready to go. They're perfect. I know, Mosey. I know, Mosey. Yeah, she's a good girl. Yep, all these up here on this branch seem to be good. And now there's Mosey up on the roof. Yeah, I'm not really sure how she gets up there. I mean, I know how the other cats get up there because some of these other cats are agile enough, but she's not particularly agile, and she's paranoid enough that it kind of surprises me that she gets up there from time to time. One thing about it, though, when she does, she can't get back down on her own. So you got to get a ladder out and get her down. And so here we've got a good third of a bucket. I mean, this is probably 15 pounds easily, what it feels like, of plums. Off of 2 small trees after basically a month and a half, or at least a month anyway, of eating them every single day, and one of the trees getting robbed. So yeah, that's impressive for 2 little trees. We heard they were prolific. It's been said that if you want plums, you only need to get 1 Mount Royal tree. That was kind of the saying or whatever. And what I've noticed is, yeah, we've got 2 of them, and we've had more than enough. We've had enough to share with wildlife. We've had enough to eat in the garden every single day. And then we end the season with, like I said, probably about 15 pounds of plums off of 2 small trees. That is not too bad. Okay, now I've gotten a ladder and gotten Mosey off the house. I'm all done with this plum tree. And as you can see, there's still some on it. Like I mentioned, this branch, they were all too soft. This branch down here, right there, there's still a bunch on it. they were all the same amount of softness, which was too soft. But now I'm going to turn my attention to these two Bartlett pear trees, which are right across the way from it. These guys here, they got to come off regardless. They don't pluck too hard. I've never plucked a Bartlett pear tree before, so with one hand I was a little concerned. But no, they come off there pretty darn well. Little guy. Another littler guy, a little bit of sun scalding or something on it. It's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, these don't come off badly at all. And here's the other one. Little guy. Decent sized guy. For being a backyard small tree. The ones in your store are going to be bigger than this. That can be said for most fruits and vegetables. The garden versions are usually a little bit more tame in size, but not in flavor. They deliver so much in flavor that it's hard to go back to the store stuff over the wintertime. It's a little bit of something that we dread, having to go back to the store for things like tomatoes and stuff like that. Just even lettuce. You know, I eat, the only kind of lettuce I normally will eat is romaine from the store, but from the garden we have so much lettuce, but it's for such a short amount of time in the spring that it isn't long before we're going back to the store for lettuce. At least there's romaine. It's, you know, dark green and pretty good. But there's a lot of things that over the wintertime we kind of dread having to go back to the store for after eating them out of the garden all summer. And there's a lot of things that, as I've shown, we can and we freeze that we get to enjoy year round. Well, it's looking like this tree only had the 3 or 4, so we got, you know, around a dozen little pears. But our Asian pear tree, that's a whole different story. Speaking of which, here it is right here. This guy has got, I don't know, we're going to figure out how many pears this guy has on it. It has a bunch. And honestly, I'd rather leave him a couple more weeks, but we don't have any choice. Unless we want him to be ruined by tomorrow, we better take him today. And they'll ripen up in the house, so no big deal. Well, they don't pluck too bad. But they do pluck hard enough that I don't feel good doing this with one hand. I'd hate to break one of these branches off or skin it, you know, where you break a small branch off and it just takes the bark all the way the rest of the way down the other branch. You know, I'm not interested in that. These are coming a little bit tough. I may even go get clippers. So I'm going to have to set the camera down and finish harvesting this tree, and then we'll look at how many we have. All right, here it is, the final harvest of the year. We got a little watermelon, got another pumpkin. Just short of 90 Asian pears, probably 10 or 15 pounds of plums, around a dozen Bartlett pears, almost a full 5-gallon bucket of assorted peppers, almost another full 5-gallon bucket of regular size, well, not regular size, but not necessarily cherry tomatoes, and 2 apples and some tomatillos. A little probably 3-gallon bucket overflowing with onions. And then another 3-gallon bucket, almost all the way to the top with cherry tomatoes. That is not too bad for one of many, many harvests we've had this year. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that basically concludes the 2025 garden season. This has been a really good year. We had plenty of rain all year, shocking for this part of the country. And we had many plants produce well. We had flowers that produced all summer. We had plants that produced more than they probably should have for their size. We've had a really good year outside of the peach trees, and even 2 of them gave us a peach per tree. So, I mean, really, this year has been almost completely perfect. Couldn't have asked for a better year. And now, next year, we won't even be hauling water up here because now I'm officially on city water. Excellent. Hey, if you like this video, you should take the time to hit the like button. It's going to help me grow my channel. If you don't like it, definitely don't hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, there's going to be a bunch more coming next season, starting with the early planting of the year. Probably 4 or 5 more videos next year. And if you want to see videos like domestic auto body, truck auto body, gardening, carpentry, art, or any of the many things we do around here, you might as well just hit the subscribe button while you're at it, because, you know, we always got something going on. We'll see you guys around.